Good evening, and welcome to Real Life, Real Solutions with Coach Tami, where we provide answers that are realistic, effective, attainable, and limitless. And I am excited on tonight. I'm always excited for our guests, but I'm excited, super excited for this amazing woman of God, a sister and a friend, Miss Lakiesha Lynch. Thank you for coming. Thank you for agreeing to be here on tonight. It is indeed an honor and a pleasure to have you on tonight.
Thank you for allowing me to be here. I'm actually excited. I'm excited.
Yay, I'm excited too. Listen, we're going to jump right into tonight's episode. But first, I want you to just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, again, my name is Lakiesha Lynch. I'm a mother of four grown-ups now. I am a married woman for the last 26 years. I have two amazing grandchildren. I am an entrepreneur. First and foremost, I am a child of God. And that's all that needs to be said.
That's listen. She said that confidently. That is all that is need to be said. Yes, I love it. Um, so our topic tonight is rebuilding after setbacks. And having known you personally, I've seen some of the things that you have thrived through, and some of the things that you have experienced. So I want you just, if you could, name about one situation where maybe it was a little bleak and naturally kind of made you take a step back to really evaluate, right, what was going on, but how you were able to grow past that and rebuild despite that setback.
Well, I must say that 2021 was a big deal for me in a lot of different ways. The year started off by me burying my dad on January 2nd, and he passed, unexpectedly. So that was a major blow for me and my family, of course. And so I had to learn to deal with that. And before I even had a chance to really deal with it, I had a stroke on April 29th. And actually, it was the day after my husband and I came from Ocean City, Maryland, just to, spend a few days together away from home. And I was still on leave from work. And I had a few days off. And so he decided to go take the car to get it serviced. And I was going to stay in the bed. And so I said, you know what, let me stop being lazy. Let me get out. Let me go with him and enjoy, some time. And so we did that. I went with him. And so we went to a diner on the next street as we were waiting for the car to be serviced. We walked into the diner. I was fine. We sat down. I was fine. We ordered our food. I was fine. And all of a sudden, things just changed for me. I didn't know what was going on, but something definitely happened. And so the food came and I tried to drink from my straw. My straw would not go in my mouth. And I couldn't understand what was going on. And I kept falling asleep. My husband was kept saying, wake up, wake up. And I said, but I can't. I don't know what's going on. And for some reason I asked him, was my mouth twisted? Because at that point I just assumed that I must be having a stroke out of nowhere. And so by this time, the car was finished. So he took me outside to sit down, and he walked back to the next street to get the car because he didn't want me walking too far. And so thank God we only live about 10 minutes away from the diner. And so he brought me home. We immediately called my doctor. She said, get me straight to the hospital. And the hospital was about only 7 minutes away from the house. And so he rushed me there. And as soon as I walked in, they took me to the back. And I think there were about 6 or 7 different staff members working on me all at one time. I still didn't know what was going on. I wasn't myself for sure. I can say I definitely wasn't myself, but I knew there was something different. And so after a few minutes of different tests and, evaluations, it was determined that I actually had what's called a TIA, which is a minor stroke. And so that was something that actually rocked me because, again, it was out of nowhere. I had just came back from being on vacation with my husband the day before, but it changed so much. And so I had to make a decision if I was going to allow this to, take over, or if I was going to just, deal with it. And so I had no choice but to deal with it. I was like, because God is not going to bring me this far to leave me now. I could barely walk. I lost the mobility on my left side. Um, my mouth was definitely twisted, and so I could barely talk. And so my voice is still recovering now, but it's much better than it was, because at one time I couldn't even hold a conversation. I couldn't even get out of more than a few sentences at a time. So I know it was by the grace of God that I'm where I am today, and I still have a long way to go. But I say all that to say life is precious. And so we have to make the best of whatever situation is presented to us. And sometimes we have to learn how to pivot. We have to learn how to pivot, because if we don't learn how to pivot, then we're going to be stuck. We're going to become complacent. We're going to become sad, even maybe angry. And I just refuse to do that, because I just felt that God has so much more in store for me. And so that was something that was a turning point for me. And I'm still continuing to do what God has for me to do.
Oh, that's awesome. Let me ask, because I can imagine emotionally in that moment, there are a thousand things going on in your head. What gave you in that moment the ability to own your emotions and to fight through versus just allowing yourself to be overwhelmed?
First and foremost, my family, because my husband is amazing. We've been together 31 years, and this man has always stood by my side. And he, along with our four children and my granddaughter, because she lives with us, they were amazing from the beginning to the end. Every point of it, they were just there for me. They were making sure I was good, even while in the hospital. Not even when I came home, but even in the hospital, they were there with me. They were checking on me. They were making sure I was good, making sure I didn't need anything. And then also, I just knew that there was a lot of things that God wanted me to do that I had not accomplished yet. And
Mm-hmm.
so with those two things, I just could not sit back and, wallow in my pity in my moment. I had to persevere, not to say that there wasn't still some challenges after that. Because actually the day after, this whole week was actually planned, because the day after the stroke, I was supposed to go to Jersey City, because my sister was having the taping of a reality show for me and her and the other sisters. And so the other sisters flew into town, because they live out of state. And so I was like, I can't not show up. We've been planning this for a very long time. I said, I cannot allow this sickness or this situation to dictate me showing up, so I was like, okay, I have to do what I have to do. But even still, I couldn't do much, but I wanted to make sure I was there. And so it just so happened to work out that the one of the producers, she actually appointed someone to be my aide throughout the whole day,
Wow.
well, throughout the whole weekend, because she wanted to make sure that I was good. Because again, I could really do much of nothing. I could barely talk again. So there were a few scenes that were shot, that was taken, that I couldn't even be a part of, because I just couldn't get myself together enough to be a part of everything. So I had the assistance of a young lady who was amazing. I can't remember her name right now, but she was definitely an amazing blessing to me. She made sure I was good. If I needed water, if I needed something to drink, if I needed a pillow, whatever it was. And this was all while we were in the studio. And she made sure that I was good. She made sure I was good. So I'm very thankful. I'm very thankful, because situations like this helps you to understand who you really are and why you're here. Because sometimes
Yeah.
God has to really, really get us in a space, in a place where we have no choice but to understand that it's because of Him that we move, live, and have our very being. And so that was major for me. That was definitely major.
Wow. I mean, that's first of all, that's just awe inspiring, right? Because you said this was all in the time span of a week after having, experienced this stroke. And sometimes when people, experience these things, it can take months for them to get back on their feet or even try to, get to some type of normalcy in their life, let alone be there for a taping of a show, right? So I heard you say that you had to learn to pivot, like you learned to pivot instead of wallowing in your pity. So what would you say to somebody who maybe is struggling because the setback, maybe it wasn't something medically for them, maybe it was the breakdown of a relationship, and they can't seem to find their footing on getting their life back on track after having something unexpected happen?
Keep going. As hard as it may seem at that present moment, keep going. Never give up, never look back, keep going and know that, the best is yet to come because, God is amazing and he wants us to live an abundant life. Doesn't want us to just settle. He doesn't want us to just merely exist. He wants us to live and live abundantly. And so somehow, some way, we have to learn because it is a learning experience because it's not easy. It's not easy. My situation may not be somebody else's situation, but we're all going through something. So we have to make the best of every situation. And yes, we may have a pity party for a little while because for about an hour or so in that hospital I did because I had to stay the night over. And then one of my sisters who came into town, she actually came to the hospital and I looked at her and it was like, wait a minute, this is not where I'm supposed to be. And so that actually helped me as well because I was like, wait a minute, nothing is too hard for God. Nothing is too hard for God. And so I just had to tap into, what I knew about him for myself. You know what I mean? And that's what helped me overcome. And like I said, I'm still overcoming, but I am an overcomer. That is definitely who I am. And so with all of that, being said, you just have to keep going even when there's times when you're still unsure about a situation, if you don't know, how things are going to work out for you, just keep moving. Just keep moving. Don't stand stagnant. Don't feel like, there's no more hope left for you because there's always hope because we serve a God who can do all things but fail. And so my encouragement to someone is just keep going. Keep going. Even through those times, those moments when you have to cry your way through. Whatever it takes, cry your way through, pray your way through, seek counseling, whatever it takes, just keep going. Just never stop.
Just never stop. That is really good. Thank you so much for sharing that. We're gonna cut away to a quick commercial break, but when we come back, because what I've hear just in your conversation is like there seems to have been a reawakening in you, like even in the midst of this setback. So when we come back, I want you to just talk about that side of the experience because you had said earlier, I know God has more for me. So when we come back, I want you to talk about tapping into that more and really operating in that and how that looked like to you. So you pondered that for a quick second. We're going to cut to commercial break. And when you come back, I want you to share with us from that thought. So everybody, you just hang tight. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back, everybody. Thank you for staying tuned in with us. Again, we're here with Lakiesha Lynch talking about rebuilding after setbacks. So, before the commercial break, I just want to, I had, you know, asked for you when we come back to talk about um, the reawakening that kind of happened after that setback, because that's kind of the underlying tone of what I heard you saying, like your mindset and you know pushing past even what you were experiencing in that moment to show up for others and to show up for yourself. So, how did that reawakening occur in the midst of that setback? Because I really think people need to really hone into that message in your conversation.
Truthfully, again, it was all God because again, if it was up to me, I would have stayed where I was. I wouldn't have wanted to be bothered with life or anything else because it devastated me. To be completely honest, it devastated me because, you know, um, I didn't feel like it was fair, and not that it has a list of names who it should happen to, because that's just life. You just never ever know. But the reawakening was the fact that I know that there's so much more to my life than I have actually released so far. And so that is what actually helped me um, like I said earlier, to pivot and to want to continue to go on, because our life is not our own. I'm a vessel, and even though we know most of the time, a lot of us, if not the majority of us, we hide. And it's funny because I know we talked about this pretty much during the commercial break. We hide, or we run, or we just don't want to move. We don't want to do anything. But that's not what life is about. That's not like what life is about. Life is about touching other people. Life is about helping others along the way. So if I would have stayed in my situation, it would not allow me to be able to be a blessing to other people. And we know that's the purpose of us being here, to bless others. Not just to live an abundant life for ourselves, but to help others along the way. And so I had to somehow just remember that it's not about me, it's about God. And it's always about Him, and it always has been, and it always will be. And so the rebirth was just pretty much me understanding that I went through all of that for a time such as this. Because had I not gone through that, I probably would not have realized um, I probably wouldn't have realized, that there is so much more to me than I have already released. And when I say to me, it's not about me. That's not what I'm saying. But for me to be a vessel or a platform for other people, and so that's what helped me along the way. Because even with my business, because I am a beauty consultant, and so even with that, it's so much more to just cosmetics and skincare. That's a big factor, but it's also ministry. It's ministry for me, because anytime I can open my mouth, or anytime I can be connected with someone, be in someone's presence, I'm supposed to talk about the goodness of God. I'm supposed to talk about what our purpose is here on earth. So it's so much bigger than me. So that's what helped me. That's pretty much it.
That's so good. You mentioned coming out of hiding. Um, so I want to ask, what did that really look like? So what changed in the reawakening? What did you start doing differently in your life after the stroke? And what impacted did your personal reawakening have in the life of your family and those close to you?
The personal impact first was the fact that they see that I'm not giving up. They see that, situations occur for a reason, and there are obstacles, and we have to learn how to get past those obstacles and move beyond those obstacles to get to where God really wants us to be. And so I have no choice. I just have no choice because I know other people are dependent on me. My family is dependent on me. My husband is dependent on me to a certain extent. He is the head of the household. I do understand that, but there are certain things that I need to bring to the table to help them remember even while they are still here. I believe I have a responsibility for that. Does that make me feel like I'm more special than anybody else? No. It just makes me aware. It just makes me aware of what we all supposed to be doing as individuals, as humans, you know. And so, yeah, I think that's for me. That was pretty much it. Yeah, that was about it.
Yeah, you said something real key right there, the awareness. Like sometimes we have, I want to say, a pseudo awareness, like we are kind of aware, we're kind of tapped in, but sometimes it takes that unfortunate situation to really open us up to all of the possibilities, right? Because like you said, your mom, your wife, your grandma, and sometimes all those responsibilities and titles can kind of cloud out, you know, who you are individually as Lakeisha. Um, and so hearing you say that helps you get back to the awareness of you, outside of them, outside of all those roles, just you and your abilities and your gifts. Um, So we're going to take another quick commercial break, but when we come back, I want to give you the floor. I want to give you the floor and just share some nuggets, share some wisdom, some insight to somebody that might be still struggling to rebuild, right? Because setbacks, if you don't, like you said earlier, if you don't have the right mindset, it can really take on a life of its own and put you in a place of just existing. And what I love about your whole testimony, everything that you share, is that you refuse to just exist, right? You like, hey, I understand this happened, but God has more for me, so I'm going to get out here and I'm going to live to my fullest potential. And I really believe that there's more that you can share. So when we come back from this commercial break, Lakeisha is going to come in and she's just going to take some time to pour into you guys and encourage you on how to really take back the reins of rebuilding your life after setbacks. So stay tuned. I promise you, you don't want to miss it. We'll be right back after this commercial break. All right, guys, thank you so much for hanging tight with us and welcome back from the commercial break. And like I said before the break, this is now the opportunity where Miss Lakeisha is going to have the floor and she's going to come and really just give you some tips and some nuggets and just encouragement on how you can rebuild your life after setbacks. So, Lakeisha, the floor is yours.
So all I can really do is to be very transparent. You know, don't play small. Even though you may have some obstacles in your life, even though you may have some setbacks, don't play small. Be the best that you can be and be the authentic you. Don't ever try to be like someone else because God created you to be you. And so never play small. I talk to my children about that all the time. Never play small to make somebody else comfortable. Do what you know God has created you to do. That's the best thing you can do. Rebuild. Sometimes, we be on a track of things going well the way we want it to go, but sometimes God steps in because He said, you know what, you're kind of off track. And so rebuilding is not a bad thing. Rebuilding just means that it makes you more aware of certain situations. It humbles you because it allows you to keep in the back of your mind that you have to always see God at all times. And so, no matter what you do in life, only what we do for God is going to last. Only what we do for Him is going to last. And I talking to myself as well because, again, like I said, there's certain things that I'm still dealing with even right now. And I know without a doubt that I'm supposed to be doing more than I am now, but I'm on that road. I'm on that road to rebuilding, to do the things that I've been created to do, not the things that um, I just want to have fun at, because sometimes when God wants you to do something, it may not seem fun, but it has a purpose. So be all that you can be for God. Be all that you can be for Him, because there's a reason you're still here. The fact that He woke you up this morning means that He still has work for you to do. The fact that He woke you up this morning means that He still wants you to reach other people's lives. The fact that He woke you up this morning means that He still has a testimony that He wants you to share with other people, because your testimony may be something that will save somebody else's life or change somebody else's situation. So again, just be all that you can be for God. Be sold out for Him. Be sold out for Him. And even if that means you have to lose some people along the way, so be it. Because we know that God is more than enough and we are more than enough. He told us in His word that we are worth it. And so because He is worthy, we have to believe what He says in His word. And so again, my final words to you is just to be all that you can be for God, and never ever shortchange yourself or play small to make somebody else feel better, because you were created for greatness, and greatness you will create if you just take heed to the word of the Lord. That's it.
Awesome. That was really good. And it was so much to take just even from that time of encouragement. But the one that blessed me the most was, it may not always be fun, but it has purpose. Because I think sometimes, especially in the world that we live in, there's this tone, right, that everything you have to do has to be fun, fun, fun. Some work is not going to be fun, but it'll have purpose. Some of the things that God calls us to do won't always be fun. It won't always include, people from the crowd that you thought should be there, but it has purpose. So thank
Right.
you so much for sharing that. And thank you for being our guest on tonight. We have really had a blessed time. You gave us some really powerful encouragements. Your transparency, I believe, is just really going to help, build up someone else. So thank you for sharing. Thank you for your transparency. And before we go, just tell the people where they can connect with you at, how they can contact you, and where they can find you at.
Well, I am on Facebook under my name, Lakeisha Lynch. You can find me there. Also, I do have my website for my business, and that is www.marykay.com/LLYNCH and the number two. So you can always get in contact with me if you need some encouragement, if you need anything for self care. I am here for you. I would love to be your consultant, not only for skincare or cosmetics, but also just to help you with life in general. I am always making myself available because that's what I'm supposed to do. So you will always be able to reach me one way or the other.
Thank you so much. And let me just tell anybody, she is definitely a safe space. You don't have to be concerned about, oh, if I talk to Lakeisha, people know she is a fortress. Let me tell you, I've known her a very long time, and I know a lot of the things even that I, share with her, she has kept. And like I said, she's a very dear sister and friend, and she's also my Mary Kay consultant, as you can see. My beautiful Matt Brown Foundation. Go to her website. What is it? MaryKay.com.
Forward
LL
slash
forward slash.
LLYNCH
Yeah,
two.
two. I remember that. Gets you
Mm-hmm.
some great skincare, but more importantly, connect with this amazing woman of God who will also build up your soul with her encouragement. Thank you again, Keisha, for being with us on tonight. Again, I'm so very proud, and I know that somebody was indeed blessed from your time of sharing. Thank you to everybody who joined our live on tonight. Listen, share it, repost it, comment, get this segment and this channel out there, because really our only goal is to help rebuild and help to provide real solutions to people that's going through everyday real life problems. Again, thank you for joining us, and we will see you on the next episode of Real Life Real Solutions with Coach Tami. Have a good night, everyone.